Sundown Towns. Let's talk about it. Cleveland, Mississippi, in Bolivar County, the place where young Trey Reed was just found hanging from a tree. Literally, the last place in this country to integrate schools. First, let me start by saying that this county was rich with history, including Black history, in places like Mound Bayou. But I want to keep it short, so we're only going to focus on Cleveland. By the end of slavery, we were fully separated. We were fully segregated by railroad tracks. And we lived under the trifecta of a sundown town. Segregation in schools, housing, and public spaces. Terror from the police with threats of unjust, unlawful arrest, and violence. Let's learn history. Many of our ancestors in Cleveland were trapped in sharecropping after slavery. And after emancipation, our ancestors were constantly underfunded in our housing, in our public services, and they had limited chances to create generational wealth here. With segregation being the way of life in Cleveland, our ancestors had separate waiting rooms, separate entrances, and separate public facilities. They also had to deal with the harsh Mississippi segregation laws. And the white people of Cleveland, Mississippi made sure the order was held and that we knew our place, despite our ancestors being the majority in this town. By 1946, a voice of our ancestors, Mr. Amzie Moore, returned to Cleveland after fighting in the war for this nation. And he was met with more violence toward us than he'd ever witnessed. So he bought land and rallied us together to fight for what he knew was right. Equality. With help from Dr. T.R.M. Howard, they started the Regional Council of Negro Leadership and started boycotting. He helped us vote and was a very loud voice against the brutalization of our ancestors. Being in Cleveland was dangerous at night for our ancestors. You'd better not be caught on the other side of the tracks, in the west side of town after dark, if they knew what was good for them. And by the 50s, this area was downright dangerous for our ancestors to step out of line, day or night, in this Jim Crow sundown town. By 1951, one of our loudest local activists was getting too uppity, asking for equality. He and others faced constant threats and intimidation. They would call him at night and threaten to blow his house up. Well, in 1951, they did it. Mr. Amzie Moore's home was bombed. In a nearby town on August 28th, 1955 was the last time Emmett Till was seen alive, and our ancestor Amzie Moore was on the forefront for justice in that case. We were sick and tired of the injustice, and we wouldn't stand for it anymore down in this Delta town. Well, the white people in this county had had about enough of our ancestors trying to force equality, and about 30 miles from Cleveland, the Citizens Council was born. This was seen as a more respectable arm of the hoods, and the white people in Cleveland were gung-ho about joining. This council included white men of power, from elected officials to businessmen whose sole purpose was to fight integration after the Brown versus Board of Education decision in 1954. By 1969, equality was in sight. All over the nation, our ancestors were seeing a form of freedom never seen before. So in February of 1969, 52 of our ancestors protested the historically segregated Delta State University in Cleveland, the same university where young Trey Reed was just found hanging. They did a sit-in in front of the university president's office to demand equal treatment on campus, but they were met with dogs and arrests. This campus has never been a safe place for us. Later, the same year, 1969, the federal courts ordered that Cleveland schools finally integrate. Over 1,000 white people protested and threatened our families. Cleveland was the last school in our entire nation to integrate. And in 2025, a young black man was found hanging from a tree on this very campus. Can anyone share a first-hand account about this place, past or present? Share this video. Tag them in the comments. Let's learn.